Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, and my friends, in today's video we're talking free-to-play in fighting games. So if you saw the recent developers roundtable, there was a pretty big discussion about free-to-play in fighting games, and there's a reason why you're looking at Fortnite footage right now. Because I think free-to-play is the future of fighting games. I think this is where the genre kind of needs to go in the end. And a game like Fortnite, even though Fortnite's older, it's long in the tooth, this, that, and the other, right? Fortnite still pulls in over 80 million unique players every month. And now, all these years later after Fortnite came out, do you think that would ever be possible if Fortnite was a $60 game you buy at GameStop or EB or whatever? No. It would be dead and forgotten already. Free to play is the reason why Fortnite got to take over the world. And as someone who wants to see the fighting game genre keep growing, and fighting games have been doing very well in the last couple years especially, and the future looks extra bright to be sure, but to keep growing and growing, I think free to play is the way it has to be done. So that said, well, let's talk about it, and also let's give a few examples. So first off, it's hardly the 90s anymore, right? Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, they actually used to be the most popular games, like, the Fortnite of their time, if you will, and I feel a little dirty saying that, but those halcyon days are long gone. Fighting games are some of the hardest games to get into. Like, let's be realistic about it, right? First off, you have the barrier to entry, you gotta pay that $60 or whatever it is in your region, right? And then, fighting games are harder than other games. Like, granted, for a lot of us, that's exactly why we're here, right? If fighting games were easier, they would not hold our attention the same way. But we do have, well, let's just call it churn, right? There will be a lot of people who will pick up any given fighting game, and after a month or two, they're gonna drop it, right? It's just not for them, and that's not their fault, absolutely not. In fact, that's generally how that works for a lot of multiplayer games, right? After the first few months, you're going to see a marked decline in the population of the game. It's all about maintaining a percentage, if you will, of the initial player base. And for fighting games to grow and keep getting bigger, what better way to keep that percentage if just the initial player base is a lot bigger? Because naturally, that's exactly what free-to-play has to offer. There's other things to be done, absolutely, like, better multiplayer, better online play suite, matchmaking, all that kind of stuff, better tutorials, and for a lot of games, better single player, because a lot of modern fighting game single player is incredibly lacking. But just getting a big initial player base, that's step number one. If your game is free to play, simply put, you'll have a lot more people waiting at the door on opening day, right? With no price tag as your barrier to entry into the game, you're just going to find a lot more people trying out the game. And now, let's just give a little bit of an example here. So if you watch this channel, you probably know what Brawlhalla is, right? And Brawlhalla is the secret titan of the FGC nobody really talks about. For one, in their 7th year now, they're putting out the biggest prize pool in all of fighting game history. Well over $1 million. Nobody comes close to that. Even the biggest Capcom Cup, which before Brawlhalla would have been the biggest deal, is still only a fraction of the prize pool that they are putting out. And how exactly can they put out this much money? It's because they're making that much money. Even though you don't see the traditional FGC talk about it too much, Brawlhalla is a very, very big deal. And just to lay it out plain as day, Brawlhalla is bigger than the traditional FGC. I want to show you a stat I pulled here. Now, just so you know, for clarification, I pulled these numbers here at 1 a.m. my time, so hardly prime time. The numbers will get much bigger throughout the course of the day, but the Steam concurrent for Brawlhalla, as of the time I pulled it, was just shy of 15,000 concurrent players, right? Now, in comparison, the concurrent numbers for Guilty Gear Strive, King of Fighters 15, Street Fighter 5, Tekken 7, and Mortal Kombat 11 combined do not make up this number. To be generous and round it up, it comes out about 12,000, which is still shorter than just Brawlhalla by itself. And why is that? Because Brawlhalla is a free-to-play game, and these games aren't. It's really about that cut and dry. Before I made, this video and started doing my research, I never in a million years would have thought Brawlhalla was bigger than all those games combined. Yet turns out it is. Now, granted, that's Steam numbers only, right? Doesn't count consoles. Some games are bigger on console, like say Street Fighter, right? Then again, some games like Strive, they're bigger on PC, but also Brawlhalla is on basically every console as well. And by the way, since this is a sore point for the FGC, Brawlhalla is also cross-play on all platforms. PlayStation, PC, Xbox, Switch all play with each other just fine. So I'm harping on Brawlhalla specifically as our example here, just because you don't see people in the FGC talk about it, right? It's kind of a silent titan, yet this silent titan is doing better than all the games we love combined. It's making money hand over fist. It can offer these ridiculous prize pools for its tournaments that our fighting games cannot, and it's on the back that it's a free-to-play game. It's just less intimidating to get into because there's no upfront cost. And that's the beauty of free-to-play. Yeah, you know, the games make money because you get the certain customers, the whales as we call them, right? That they'll spend way more than the 60 bucks for a normal game and then go from there, right? But that's what supports all the other players. They kind of basically pay for everyone else. And in the end, this is the kind of success I want to see for, you know, more modern fighting games coming up. Like, say, your Street Fighter 6, that'd be probably the best case scenario. Street Fighter 6, no matter what, is already a success. We don't need to know what the game is, we don't need to know what characters are in it or how it's going to play. It's already going to succeed and sell millions of copies. Done, right? But think of the worldwide appeal it could reach if it didn't have like the $60-$70 price tag attached to it up front. It'll do well, yes, in a more niche genre, but if you just kind of open the doors and let it be free to play, I think Street Fighter 6 could be like the biggest Street Fighter since Street Fighter 2. Because if you don't, the biggest fighting game since Street Fighter 2 is absolutely gonna be Project L. It should come to no mystery, even though they haven't officially said it yet, this game is like 99% chance gonna be a free-to-play fighting game. Free-to-play built Riot. There is no reason for them to go against what makes them all their money. And considering Riot's brand quality, how famous the IP and all the characters are and all that kind of stuff, and you put free-to-play on it, in terms of raw numbers, it's going to blow every other fighting game completely out of the water for free, easy. And to get real too, fighting games already have a lot of free-to-play qualities. We buy the new characters when they come out, just like a free-play game, right? We buy all the skins and the costumes, just like a free-to-play game. We get that season pass, yeah, you better believe we're going to pick it up, right? Just like free-to-play games with their battle passes and all that kind of stuff. We're already sort of halfway there, and it's been the best thing to happen to fighting games. Because we're buying the season passes, and we're buying the characters, and we're buying the skins, that means they can put more money into the game and keep the games going for years and years and years, where before you couldn't really. Like if someone played a game for years, sure, that was nice, but it wasn't exactly getting new content, right? Getting new content is what keeps the whole boat afloat. So I feel like since we're already doing a lot of what free-to-play already is, just go all the way with it. Hell, if you're like me and you kind of buy everything to begin with, right? All the season passes, skins, costume, all that kind of stuff, it might even be cheaper in the end because you don't have that large upfront fee. Now, I know some people on principle alone, they don't like the free-to-play. Because, you know, it maybe brings in a lesser quality of player. I'm not too concerned about that, honestly. Or you don't like how it introduces more ways to spend money. But hey, I'm the kind of guy who wants to spend money. If there was more costumes, more skins, I'd buy them all. Maybe that reflects poorly on me, but I've been in this fighting game thing for over 30 years now, so I'm all in, right? Let's go. So to finish up, to me, it's almost all positives if all the new major fighting games going forward were to be free to play. You bring in more players. With more players comes a bigger competitive scene. With a bigger competitive scene comes more tournaments. More tournaments, more players means bigger prize pools. Like once again, look at Brawlhalla. Their prize pool for this year is well over $1 million. That's absolutely crazy and blows everything else out of the water fighting game wise. Things are looking good going forward for the FGC, and I just want to see them just the numbers be as big as possible. And I think free to play is the best way to move the FGC forward as a whole. That said, that's me, right? I would actually sincerely love it if you post in the comments below what you think about all this. If you like it, or if you don't, and if you don't, post some reasoning besides just that you don't like free to play. Give a good reasoning why, if you could. But other than that, now we're at the end of the video, so thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some fighting games.